I'm out here in Bonifacio Global City. And what I want to do is talk about the ION compensation plan. And the ION compensation plan is unlike anything else out there that you've seen before. And what do I mean by that is that we have designed something that has been able to solve all the problems in direct sales, in maybe what you would call network marketing and so on and so forth. But we wanted to get more of a deep dive and a philosophy into it. I actually have a video that's being prepared on how the ION compensation plan is different. It is the greatest thing out there. And you hear in a lot of circles, they're like, hey, my compensation plan is the best. My compensation plan is this and that, and so on and so forth. But I come from a logical point of view. Because when you start listening to how this training works, you're going to start hearing that so many of these compensation plans are actually quite the same. And what makes ION different is a very unique design that has not only stood the test of time, but not and also stood the test of time, but it also is proven and is logical. So I need to start from the very beginning when it comes to this business. Now, when it comes to the compensation plans, there are a lot of compensation plans out there. And you've maybe seen a different combination of them. You might have seen a lot of compensation plans which say they have 10 ways to pay, 30 ways to pay, 50 ways to pay, and so on and so forth. And the real reality of it is that a lot of these compensation plans actually pay out the same. And so, what do I mean by that? So, why is ION paying out so much more for a lower price while other companies pay out so little for a higher price? And so, let's get more into how compensation plans work. Now, and you're going to just get really excited. You may even lose some sleep tonight when you realize how the ION plan actually works. So, when it comes to a compensation plan, first and foremost, I want you to imagine that you had a dollar bill. Okay, especially if you're in the United States, it's a $1 bill. And what if you divided that $1 bill into 100 pennies? Now, for 100 pennies, what's the difference between $1 and 100 pennies? Well, the answer is that there is no difference between $1 and 100 pennies. And so that's how many compensation plans work. So if you see some place that says there's 10 ways to pay, or there's 20 ways to pay, or there's 100 ways to pay, they're simply dividing up the dollar and making it seem as if they're paying out more, when in reality, they're just dividing up that dollar. So maybe they'll put 2 cents into a car bonus, 2 cents into a global bonus pool, 2 cents into a matching bonus. And really, all that is to misdirect you and to think that they're paying more, when really they're putting all these hoops and ladders in order for you to reach those payouts. That's why you'll see people, they'll say, I can't unlock the compensation plan until I have this much of an organization or this many people and this much sales and so on and so forth. Where in ION, we actually just show you straight up how these payouts work. And that's what's phenomenal, is that we're an honest company. See, we have this three very significant ways to pay, and that's all you really need. And when you look at the way we pay out, we actually pay out much more than any of the competitors out there. And while making it that the product is less than everything else out there. So I hope you get really, really excited, because whenever I talk about it, as you can tell, my voice gets a little bit more louder and my voice gets a little bit more faster, because I get excited just to talk about this plan, because this has been a problem in the direct sales, say, industry for the last few years. In fact, there's been a lot of rumblings where they say people actually need to start lowering the compensation in order to get lower prices, so that way we add more value to the end consumer. And my argument has always been like, you don't have to do that when you have this type of compensation plan. And so that's the most uncomfortable thing from one of the leading trainers out there. He said, look, this is the uncomfortable conversation. All these companies out there need to lower the payout so that way they can have lower prices. And to me, that I understand that philosophy. However, we don't need to do that. And for the third and fourth and fifth time, I'm going to say it and say it again. ION has figured out how to lower the cost of a product while raising compensation to the field. So if that gets you excited, I hope you're taking some good notes. My mentor taught me a long time ago that to have a short pencil, I'd rather have a short pencil than a long memory, a paper memory, if you will. And the best thing about having this kind of training is that way, if you're talking to other people in direct sales, you're basically planting a seed. And essentially, you're saying, hey, why are you doing more work for less pay? Why are you doing more work for less pay? I mean, from a product standpoint, we have the top 10 best products out there. You know, people are going to try to imitate us, but they'll never be able to duplicate us. That's the thing. Is that when you look at our compensation plan, you look at our products, there's going to be a lot of people out there who's going to try to imitate us because that's what they do. They imitate, but they don't understand the heart of why this plan works just so gosh darn well. And so let's go back to the very beginning. So, you know, you can have 20 ways away, 30 ways to pay, 40 ways to pay. It doesn't mean you're paying out more because there's only so much you can pay out of a dollar. Now, the next thing that companies do is that they essentially think that you don't know any of this stuff, which I understand. That makes some sense. They basically say, you know what, this is for this. Most people aren't going to make it. That's their philosophy. And instead, with us, we wanted to make sure that you got winnings from the very beginning. So first part of the compensation plan is retail. Now, there's a whole philosophy behind retail. It can't just be a number point of view. So you pay you about $7 for every product. And some people might be saying, hey, Nate, you know, $7, I'm not going to get rich off just $7 retailing all day. And, you know, that's not really the point. The point is that as you retail, you're going to get satisfied customers. And I tell that it doesn't matter if you're a 6 or 7 figure doctor or attorney or you know, wherever you're starting at, that $7, if you have a satisfied customers become satisfied what? Affiliates. They become satisfied customer acquisition partners. But also with the compensation, it doesn't matter if you have a $7 retail, but your product is 3 to 4 times more than the marketplace. Well, what do I mean? You see, that's the big argument that companies were making years ago, that they were saying, hey, you know, you can get a bottle of acai or mangosteen or noni and so on and so forth, and you can get that for cheap elsewhere, and it doesn't justify the cost or the price. And so there's different nuances behind it, but when it comes to what we're talking about, you know, we truly now have products which are similar pricing to the Amazons, to the Walmarts, to the stores, and with higher quality or similar quality. I mean, just to be in that realm is a game changer. And no one else does it the way that we do. So essentially, you're simply doing something called transfer buying. And if you learn how to market and transfer buy, guess what? The compensation plan will work. You see, the only thing is here about us is that remember that attention is modern day currency. When it comes to anything with our business, the product works, the compensation works, the payout works, all this stuff works. It's just a matter of getting as much attention as possible. So that way we can have more people looking at the Ion business. That's all it really is, guys, when it comes to this business. Because if everything works, we simply need to get as much attention as possible. And for some people, it seems almost too good to be true. It's like you cannot have a company where you have this much of a payout, where the products are similar pricing to Amazon or lower, and you are able to have all these happy people and pay out globally. Well, it is true. We are the first and only company to do this. Now, there are other companies where the product is also very low, but it's also because they're not paying on the product. That is the key right there, is that it's all smoke and mirrors. Let's be real. If a company is not paying on the product and they're paying on just membership fees or some small other things, there's a reason behind that. It's because guess who's pocketing all the money from the product? The company. And so imagine a company pocketing all the money from the product. They're making $10, $20 for every product. And what we did instead is that we made sure that you're getting paid on the product. Because if you want to have a legacy company, you want to have a company that lasts and create and sets the test of time, you want to be able to have $1, $2, $5, $4, $8 coming from all over the world. And the way you'll do that is by having prices which are not only conducive for the marketplace, but you'll have happy customers. And there's no reason why you won't have customers, retail customers, that are buying 1, 2, or 3, or 5 products every single month because that's what they would have bought from Amazon anyway. Now, that whole retail philosophy, that is a big deal in itself, guys. That's something that I really wanted to put out there because it's not just about taking a product and slapping on a retail price. Because any company can do that. But if your retail cost is $100 for a 30-day supply of vitamins, you're going to have a difficult time retailing that product. Why? Because you're bringing in a mass influx of people who are just regular people. They're not salespeople. They're your grandma from the church, your local mailman. They are someone who takes supplements for their daily life, but they want to make sure that they are getting a great value at the same time. And so you're going to be paid. I mean, imagine if you had 100 retail customers in your organization. And I'm not talking about 100 retail customers, meaning that it's just you who got all those retail customers. I'm talking about if you had 100 in your organization or 200 or 500, that is a major part of your compensation. And that's why the retail is so important here. It's not just a dollar amount, it is the philosophy behind that dollar amount. I'm going to say it again. It's not just the dollar amount that you're getting, it's the philosophy behind it and why you have brilliant leadership like Eric Caparisi and Banny Holcomb and Holly Canfield, and why we made it this way. Because when we're doing billions of dollars in sales, you want it to be a well-oiled machine where so many people are just getting so much value. You want to be known as the company that is putting so much value into the marketplace. And now we just talked about retail for these first 10 minutes and the philosophy behind it. The second part is we're going to talk about is the fast start bonus. And what you're going to really see of how we actually have taken out all of the ifs, ands, or buts is that when you first personally enroll a new affiliate for $99 and it comes with 3 products, well, guess what? A lot of companies out there, they just do what? They give you this flat fee, but it doesn't talk also about the shipping and taxes and so on and so forth. And so when they say get 4 and pay no more and things like that, it's not really get 4, because essentially it's maybe 4 or maybe it's 5 or 6, because they're not talking about the shipping. They're not talking about the taxes. They're not talking about all that. Well, guess what? Ion's one of the very first or very few companies where when we say that you refer 4 and you've made your money back, you truly do. So if you look at it, it's a $25 base fast start, which is unbelievable. However, there's also, you're getting $1 for every product on there. So you're making about $28. And so if you multiply that by 4, you've made more than the initial $99 that you've put in. And remember, Ion, how did we couple this? We have free shipping and it's a flat $99. So essentially, when you refer 4, you truly are in profit. And there are times where it takes 2 weeks to get pay, and that's normal for a company to have for security and make sure there's people not doing shady stuff. But there's times where I've seen Eric and Banny trigger those payouts maybe days earlier because they want to get you paid. And when you have leadership like that, see, sometimes it's these little things. Sometimes it's the philosophy behind it, which is so important. And when it comes to that kind of reasoning, now you can see from even from the fast start is designed that way. And here's the thing, that's just the first 3. Once you hit master, you're also making $2 per product. So add another $6. You can truly, if you're a enrollment machine, what we call an affiliate, a rep clocker, you're putting in a lot. I mean, at Icon, you're making, I believe, like $40, and at Legend Pinnacle, it's even more and more. And so you can truly make that extra $500 a month on just personal enrollments as you're building out this business. That's why you got to fight to hit master. That's why you got to fight to get to Icon, because it will be truly worth it. And what's going to happen as you grow this business, eventually the coded plan will take over. And so that's going to be the next topic. So let's recap. The retail, why is the philosophy so important? Is because 1, the retail pricing is important. You must have value to the marketplace. I'm going to say that again. In this new age, you must have value to the marketplace. I've had conversations with different companies in the retail space, not direct sales or anything like that. And they're already looking to use AI influencers because it's just so good nowadays. And so that's going to cut out a lot of those people out there. So what's going to make it different? Why is direct sales different? I just got off a call where they said something really interesting. They said, when everyone's trying to go Jetsons, the Flintstones will win out. I'm going to say it again. When everyone's trying to go Jetsons, Flintstones are going to win out. Well, what do I mean by that? It's because if you have real people and real connections, that is what's going to essentially help you build a community and fight against this whole AI revolution. Because then you'll have real people with real testimonials and real service. And that's what's going to be the future, is having real service. And most people don't understand that, is that, you know, a lot of these influencers are going to go by the wayside. Why? Because AI is going to start taking over. The AI is just so good in producing ads and these new videos and so on and so forth. The personal touch, building that culture, is what's going to make you makes your that you have a legacy income for decades to come. And you know, there's some companies out there where people have had legacy incomes, and it's absolutely incredible. And Ion is that company, which is truly different. We just need people to see why we're different. So back to that retail, why it's important, why the fourth industrial revolution, why this AI stuff, why we can get around that, why we can beat that. And then the fast start, the philosophy behind the fast start, and how you can build a great income with that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, well, actually, before that, let's talk about the product pricing when it comes to having a straight up price. I mean, the thing is here, that's why we don't do BV or CV. BV or CV, for those of you who are new to direct sales, there's something called bonus volume or commissional volume. That's essentially a way to get around the pricing. So you can have a product for $100 and the BV is 75. So meaning a company is cutting you out over and over again. This is called breakage. And essentially the breakage is that these are different ways a company does in order to get income to a select few, or to create enough breakage, or in other words, income to the company. So they may say they're paying out 50% of every dollar, but however, they may be doing that, but you're not accessing any of that. So in the first 20,000 volume, 10,000 volume that organization producing, you're probably not accessing most of the compensation plan. And that's how they say it's 50% or 60% or 70% payout, when in reality, they're paying out much less than that to the majority, to the 95% of people out there. Well, Ion doesn't do that. We use real dollar amounts. And for some people, that's mind blowing. And I'm going to show you just how much your mind is about to be blown with this coded plan. In fact, I've been doing some talks with leaders in direct sales in the industry. And there's a company out there which is absolutely having massive success. They've been around for years longer than Ion, and one of their cores is a coded plan. They're able to raise revenues while still be able, and this, guess what? It's not as good as ours. They pay out probably half of what we do, and they've created some success. And that's why we're going to dominate, because we are actually paying out some incredible amounts versus the price and product of the product. So let me get into the philosophy of the coded plan and what it is. So there's different types of plans out there. There is, you might be familiar with some of the more traditional ones. There's the unilevel, there's the binary, there is the stair-step breakaway. That's the old school companies like the Amways and the Herbalifes and the Nu Skins. There's the matrix plan, which is the number one most failed company out there. So if you see any plan that says matrix, it is built for the company owner and one or two of their buddies at the top. And so if you see a matrix, there's been no successful true matrix out there, except for one company, but it's not a true matrix. And so there is no successful true matrix out there. So those are the four basic compensation plans. There's a few others that we won't get into, but there's a fifth one that most people don't actually know about or have heard too much about, or they haven't called it a coded plan, or they've called it something else. And that fifth plan is the coded plan. And so what is the coded plan? It's essentially building different groups and building what some people would call a differential, and paying out the true profits to people who really deserve it. Now, how powerful is this? My first company, I was in a company called Excel Communications. This was years and years and years ago. Some of you remember that. And the Excel plan had what we called the coded plan. And so that company is no longer around because of mismanagement, which is also another part of a compensation plan, which is not monetary. You need to make sure that your leadership in your management is number one. That's actually the number one thing you got to look at. Why? Because if your management is snaky, if your management doesn't care about the people, you can actually, a lot of the compensation plan is either rooted in ignorance of the industry or it's knowing the industry. And if you understand that phrase, it's very, very powerful. It's either ignorance of the industry or knowing the industry. And Danny and Eric and the leadership here, they actually know the industry and they've created something in where if you look at every single part of this compensation, when you look at every single part of how this company is designed, you can see why they really care about the people. Now, let's go back in history. So there was a guy, he was a high school football coach named Paul Orberson. And it took him about I think 4 to 6 years. And, he struggled. I mean, in that company, because he really wanted it bad. He wanted to do that company bad. But here's the power of the coded plan is that in the beginning, fast starts and retail will be your income until the coded plan takes over, until you get to the master and until you get to the icon levels and beyond. And so that company was about $195 to join. So it wasn't, if you ever see people who make $1 million a month in this industry, it's usually a product type company nowadays. Not talking about those cryptocurrency scams. If you see anything direct sales of cryptocurrency, run far, far, far away. But when it comes to the actual products, you usually have companies which are selling $1,000 packages and $400 or $500 auto ships, if you really look at it. And so that's the coffee companies, that's some of the CBD companies lately, and now that's changing to other different types of products and so on and so forth. And so another one where it paid out $1 million a month, it took a massive, massive organization, several countries for them to make that in a stair-step breakaway. So that's traditionally the way you're going to have to do it. It's just a lot and a lot of product. Now, with Excel, it was $195 and you were paid out basically on that. And so there's no BV, there's no CV. I mean, it's straight dollar amounts. And Paul at one point was making over $1.2 million a month. And once again, we don't make any guarantees here. I'm just using this as an example, but it was $1.2 million a month, and inflation adjusted to 2024, that's about $1.9 million a month. And he was able to hold that for about 18 months. Now, if you really think about that, that's incredible. Nearly $2 million a month for 18 months. And this is back in the 90s. I mean, this is 1994 or 1996, I believe. I think it was 1996 when he started making it, and he held it for 18 months straight. And the reason being is that it's because we're not continuously dividing up the payout. So if you have a traditional product type company, you usually have $100 worth of product, not counting the shipping, which is usually $10, $20, not counting all this other frou-frou stuff that they add on top of it. But then here's the first part where they get you. That maybe it's $100, but it's only paid on 75 BV or CV or 50 BV or CV. So they're already halving the payout right away. Then they use percentages instead of whole dollar amounts. What does that mean? You're getting a percentage on those points instead of a real dollar amount. That's how they further dwindle your payout till it's almost nothing. That's why you'll see for every $100, most companies are paying out $3, $4, or $5. I'm going to say it again. For every $100 in your organization, you're probably making in those companies maybe $5 on a total product. Now, what's the difference with Ion and those companies? Well, guess what? Let's say you take the standard cleanse. How much is a cleanse? $23.99. We pay up to $8 in the code for one product. I'm going to say that again. I want y'all to just think about this. For $23.99, you're making about up to $8 depending on what level you are in the code. So would you rather have $8 for $23, or would you rather have $5 for $100 worth of product, not counting the $20 of shipping? And remember, to sweeten the deal, the $23 for that one product, guess what? Free shipping. So if we all that means is that if we get the word out there, imagine that you have a company that can pay out about 4 times more than the average company, give you more product, cares about you, and is paying out these massive amounts. Why? Because that's how it's supposed to be. Why not make in direct sales it normal to pay out this much? Because companies can do it. They're just stuck in old ways. And so that's why you got to really be, thankful for what the leadership has done here, is that they were not selfish about this stuff. They created a system with the top 10 products out there, where imagine that with one product, you're already beating them all out. Now, is the average person only doing one product? No, they're doing probably 3, 4, 5 products. And we just got to tell the world. I mean, if you have 100 people going on in your local marketplace, guess what? We want to fly there. We want to be there. We want to do a corporate event there. And so, if imagine that $8 times 5 products. How much is that? So that's how you're going to lose some sleep tonight, because when you really realize this, even at Master, excuse me, y'all, even at Master, say you have an average buying 3 products in your organization, that's $6 for maybe what, 60, 70, $80 worth of product. And that's unbelievable, because that means we're still at Master paying out more than the average plan out there. See, if you really do the math, this is why. It's because that's the difference between a BV and a CV company and a percentage company and a real dollar amount company like us. So if you really add that all up, that's why you need maybe 4 times less people or customers buying product than these other companies. And so when leaders really see this, they're going to really take a good look at what we're doing, and they're going to like a good look at organization. And you know what? You want to be in the forefront before this all happens. I've seen so many companies where they go on for 2 or 3 years and they work as hard as possible until they find that big leader, and suddenly everything becomes magic. Suddenly everything works right. Suddenly everything is good. And Ion, we are so close to such a dominating factor of being world class. Why? Because when people understand this philosophy, the simple philosophy of you don't need 30 million ways to pay. Why? Because it's a facade. It's a facade. Basically, once again, they're just dividing up the dollar. We could do the same thing here and say there's 100 ways to pay. Just put 100 codes. You don't need to do all of that. We just want you to get paid the maximum amount for your effort. And the way the coded plan is designed, it always directs the money to those who are working hard and those who deserve it. This is why the matrix plan always fails, because it's based in socialism. And when people want something for nothing, it always fails. And then when that company fails, when they try to put them in some other company, it collapses. Why? Because everyone came in because they wanted something for nothing. Here, you don't get something for nothing. You need to put the work in. However, we will reward you vastly more than anything else out there. I'm telling you, once you're with Ion and you understand it, you will be spoiled. It would be insane to go anywhere else. Why? Because they don't have free shipping. They don't have the same product philosophy. They don't have the same philosophy when it comes to pricing and so on and so forth. It makes no sense to do anything else. What logical reason would you have to get paid so much less for the same effort? And so that is the power of Ion. I've shown you the history of why it works so well. And you can tell with all these products, the product really matters. The cleanse is $1 billion industry in itself. The fruit and veggies is $1 billion. How many times have you turned on the news and see so many fruit and veggie caps out there? Every single one of these products is a category creator, category dominator, and can lead to $1 billion company. Now, what matters right now is understanding that this compensation plan is unlike anything else out there. You can tell in my voice, it's not just hype. It's not just rah-rah. There's nothing wrong with rah-rah. I need the rah-rah, but this is not just rah-rah. This is a logical thing in saying, how would you like to get paid? How would you like to be with a company and get paid on less price products, free shipping, but pays out 3, 4 times more than your average direct sales company? Why? It's not that we did anything magical, is that we eliminated the hoops and ladders that they show you. We eliminated the BVCV. We eliminated all these other things that don't matter. We eliminated the headache of shipping and so on and so forth. It is the perfect world company that I am so proud to be a part of. And I get emotional talking about it, guys, because we've done everything here as possible. We have not only an incredible startup and incredible product mix, but you have a compensation plan which is second to none. And yes, I truly believe that we will see some of the greatest payouts out there through Ion. Why? Because of all the coded plans out there. I'm going to tell you right now, there's still a handful of companies with coded plans. There's probably one product company which still does it in a certain way, a few others which they're not doing it the right way, and then there's one which is a greeting card company. And you know what? For not a lot, not a big organization, they're creating massive amounts of payout and massive amounts of revenue to the company. It's such a win-win situation. And the more I looked into these companies, the more I see why is because they actually said, we're not going to do it Jetson style. We're going to do it Flintstone style. A lot of these are doing it old school when it comes to building an organization and a culture. And this is the last part of it, based on self-development, personal development, sales, building a community culture of communication and people being together. If you look at these fly-by-night companies, they don't do that. They base it on just hoopla and free money and all these other things. And that just does not work anymore. And then, it's so much easier to start companies nowadays that people just try to slap a company together and hope it works. And it's just not working. And, don't fall victim to any of these companies out there. Why? Because you're going to be sorely disappointed. And every other month, you're always going to be trying to join a new company and so on and so forth. And I see it with so many of my friends, and they're trying to chase the newest thing when in reality, the best thing is right in front of you. It's Ion. Ion is the greatest thing out there. And I can say that with passion and conviction. But not only that, a lot of people can be passionate and conviction about their company. But how many people can be passionate, have conviction, and have a logical approach to why Ion is the greatest? Put me on the phone with any person in direct sales out there. I will plant those seeds. Why? Because it's true. There's no trickery here. All of this stuff is true. And so imagine that for $23, it pays out the same. $23 or $25 or 29, any of these products that we have, they have a set fixed dollar amount, and it's more than $100 at any other company. What would you choose? Even even for two products, some of them are like $40, $60 for two products. It's still better than $100 plus $20 in shipping and taxes and all that. Well, actually, probably about $30, and then you only get a small percentage payout. I remember how excited we used to be over a $2 retail or $2 override, but how much did it take? It took $100 worth of product to get that commission. And here, we were able to create something that's going to absolutely dominate because once again, it's that company that people are looking for. Lower prices yet higher payout, and it is the company of the future. What we need to do is go more on the ground and build that culture. And you got to talk to your friends and family, talk to your warm market. The whole online stuff has changed rapidly. Trust me, I've been doing it the last 2 weeks. I've noticed how it's changed rapidly and how I'm meeting personally with people. Why? Because when I see some of those legacy incomes, when I even see the big incomes nowadays, recently, I noticed they're going traditional again. Why? Because after the pandemic, after all that happened, people tried to do everything online. What you need is a mix of the online and the offline. One cannot work without the other. Why? Because the offline culture is what gets people together. Sometimes people use direct sales as an excuse to create a friendship network, a culture network, and they want to just be around people. I always say it. Why does one pastor have 50 parishioners and another pastor has 50,000 parishioners? Is because they were able to build a very strong culture. And I'm available for three-way calls. Whenever I see a call that I have to do, I get on it as soon as possible. I love helping out. It doesn't matter, upline, downline, sideline, whatever line. It doesn't matter. Why? Because we're all Team Ion. 100%, we're all Team Ion. and we're all having the same goals and same dreams. And now you can see the philosophy of this compensation plan. And we're not even counting the upcoming incentives and things happening and the fun stuff. Imagine that, all the fun things that Ion is going to do in the future, and you're going to be a part of that foundation. How many companies, I'm going to leave you with this. How many companies have you heard of? Whether it was the old schools like an Amway or an Herbalife or a Nu Skin, where they always have that story. The first year was so tumultuous. We were doing it out of a garage. See, we're not doing it out of a garage. We have a whole warehouse. We have a whole manufacturing. It's unbelievable to have all this stuff. And so, and then they say, look, we struggled the first year or two. We were trying to find the right people, and everyone's trying to do that thing. It reminds me of those times where we figured it out as soon as possible. But you know what? It's not going to take us a few years to become a dominating force. And you know what? Every single person that stuck with it in the very beginning became, and they did the effort. They had a legacy income. I just saw a video that Danny Holcomb sent to me, and it was one of those videos like, hey, that's a nice Lamborghini. Those people that go up to cars, and what do you do? And then he was like, oh, well, I do direct sales. And can you imagine that? Not, and he was probably hasn't worked for what, 10, 20 years, and so on and so forth. That's the kind of legacy we want here. But now you have all the advantages that you need here at Ion. And so you're in that legacy stage. That's why I would talk to every single person you know. That's why I would get onto your social media and message every single person you know, and just be passive about it. That's what I would do. That's what I've been sending out there. I've been talking to even random people that I've just made a quick connection with. I say, hey, this may not be for you, and if it's not, don't worry about it. But I'm on the precipice of something big, and you know what? If you are excited about the company, imagine that. Part of the compensation is your enthusiasm. The last four letters of enthusiasm is I am sold myself. You need to be sold yourself. When you hear me on the phone, I am excited. I'm absolutely excited to talk to people about Ion. Why? Because I know there's nothing else like it. You are so lucky to be a part of this. Why? We are so lucky to have you. Why? It's because we finally have a company that has checked out all the boxes. Every box that you've ever looked at with a company. And that's rooted in what? Far beyond compensation is belief. The reason why people leave companies, the reason why people don't succeed in a company is because of belief. And with Ion, we have removed every barrier to belief out there. And then now it's up to you to tell the world. And we're still really, from the product launch, from the 11/11, where we really started taking a hold of this company on 11/11/2023, it hasn't even been a year yet. It's just still the beginning, guys. And sometimes we want it faster. Sometimes we want even, the only way that we're going to do it is by getting in the field, talking to new people, sharing the product, use the product, share the product, teach others to do the same. And remember, it's easy to do, easy not to do. The last thing I'm going to leave you is really this for a technique is have a new conversation every day. Talk to 2 new people a day. If you can keep yourself accountable by that, guess what? In the next 2 or 3 weeks, you should start getting a filled up calendar. And is it worth it? Yeah, because once this starts running, you're going to be going to sleep and waking up with more money in your bank account than you did the day before. And you're going to feel good. Why? Because when you know what you know about this company, it's no longer an opportunity, it's a responsibility. You're going to feel good knowing that these products are the same price or similar to Amazon, and they are effective. They are changing people's lives. People are losing weight. People are getting healthy. People are taking their fruit and veggies all around the world. And that is why I'm so excited to see the Ion products everywhere. I've seen it not only around the United States, I see it in the Philippines here. I see it in China. I know Alvin, they're going to be taking it to Japan and so on and so forth. I mean, there are so many things that we're doing, and it's still just the beginning. If you really think about it, it's still just been a short time with Ion, but we are growing by leaps and bounds, and we are proud to say that you are a part of this foundation. We appreciate you, and you can be that person that you see. Have you ever gotten one of those old school direct sales books where they have those recognition pages and pages long, and you see the people who started 50 years ago? And that excites me because I see that's where Ion's going. is that I don't think about just the first 6 months of a company. I think where we're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And we design something that's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. And guess what? You were there. You're able to say you were there at the beginning. How many conversations have I had where I talk to people and say, we didn't even have a PowerPoint. We didn't even have, payouts happening on time. We didn't even have all that when they talk about their old companies. And you know what? You don't have those problems here. Why? Because whenever there's a tool that's needed, we create it. Whenever you need marketing, it's created with speed and endurance. And we're going to show you that, hey, we lead from the front. Speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And we are proud to be a part of your Ion leadership, your Ion corporate, and your Ion family. Now let's go tell the world. With that, guys, my name is Nate Kalima out here in Bonifacio Global City in the Philippines. Thank you, guys, and God bless.